Welcome to Open for Business, the Gallatin Valley's only local business and consumer talk show featuring Tom Eaglehoff, the Man Entrepreneur magazine radio called the leading authority in the United States for doing business in small town. Here he is, speaker, author, small business consultant, and Mrs. Eaglehoff's favorite son, Tom Eaglehoff.
All right, welcome everyone. Open for Business. We air every Saturday live from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. Mountain Time on AM 1450 KMMS in Bozeman, 1340 KPRK in Livingston, Montana. If you'd like to be a part of the big broadcast, go to kmmsam.com and click Listen Live. The call-in number during the show, 406-522-TALK, 406-522-8255. I'm here, you're here. Let's get the show on the road.
Let's get back to Open for Business on News Radio AM 1450 KMMS Bozeman. Lines are open at 522-TALK. That's 522-8255. Here he is. He's big, he's bad, and he's open for business. Tom Eaglehoff.
All right, welcome back, everyone. It is 25 minutes before the top of the hour. It is Saturday, May 27, 2017, Memorial Day weekend, 63 degrees outside in beautiful downtown Bozeman, Montana. I want to welcome you to the podcast portion of Open for Business. Each week I share some tips and tricks I've learned over the years about advertising, marketing, promotions, and building strong, successful businesses. And if you missed any of my previous podcasts, you'll find them all on my YouTube channel. And while you're here, why not subscribe to my YouTube channel? And you'll never miss another weekly podcast. You'll also find my podcasts on my 400-page website that 3,000 people visit each day at smalltownmarketing.com. That's smalltownmarketing.com. In today's topic, I want to talk about how to keep good employees in your small business. Now, this has to be one of the oldest quandaries in the history of business, but I think it's the wrong question to ask. The question I would ask is, how can I create a work environment that employees will never want to leave? Now, the reason employees are hard to keep is because they have their own personal goals, and I'm sorry to say that those goals are not to make you, the business owner, rich. I'm also sorry to say that as long as you put your business goals ahead of your employees' personal goals, you're going to have turnover and lots of it. So how can I create a business work environment that helps the business owner and the employee both reach their goals? So let's consider the hours employees aren't working. Your full-time employees work 40 hours a week. There's 168 hours in each week. That means for 128 hours each week, your employees are somewhere else. So what are they telling other people about where they work during that off time? Would an unhappy employee talk to their spouse or their partner? And what would the spouse or partner tell others? Each time the story of your business is related to someone else, there's a very good chance it'll be embellished until it reaches a point where a large part of it is no longer true. Are you beginning to see how easily negative word of mouth can not only spread, but do major public relations damage as well? So let's create a win-win environment. So in order for a business to be successful, there must be a total team effort between employees and management. Each employee depends on other employees to perform his or her specific function. Management then has a choice. It can establish or even demand certain levels of performance as a condition of employment, or it can create a work environment where employees not only take pride in the work they do, but take personal ownership of their specific responsibilities within the company. So how do you accomplish that? Well, here's what I did working as a personnel manager for a 10-store retail chain in San Diego. Over a period of months, I met alone with each employee. I asked them what their personal goals were. Some were working their way through school. Some were saving up to purchase their first home. Others were starting a family or purchasing a new vehicle. As a result of these talks, I made up goal sheets that went in every store's break room. I publicly posted each employee's goal so that others could see the root of their motivation, what they were working toward. Some employees had non-public goals, such as serious illness in the family or an addiction of some kind. Those were kept between the employee and me, and I was the catalyst for their motivation. For these people, we did find some public goals as well. But over time, employees began asking other employees how their goals were coming. Motivation and teamwork was happening. So what could possibly derail it? Employee evaluations. Employee evaluations, but is the great eraser. Let's face it, periodic employee evaluations are primarily used to correct what the employee is doing wrong and rarely to praise what they're doing right. And that's the major downfall of evaluations and the main reason most managers dislike doing them. Now, my good friend Patrick McGoy introduced me to the following simple concept. A typical employee evaluation conversation might go something like this. You do A, B, and C great, but D needs a lot of work. Do you think the employee hears what's happened before the but or after it? The word but erased the good part of the employee performance because it was just glossed over as a transition to the corrective part of the evaluation. What if the conversation was reversed? We're going to have to set aside some time to work on D. However, you are really excelling at A, B, and C. Which conversation would have the more positive effect? Years ago, I worked with a very smart man who told me that you always give 2 warm fuzzies for every cold prickly. In other words, praise should be given twice as often as criticism. He knew that his employees were doing more right than wrong, and they were also doing things within the company which he would never know or hear about. So he made a point of making sure that they heard from him whenever he heard or saw them doing something positive. I worked with another company that had a practice of sending handwritten thank you cards to the employees home in the mail. They may have put in some overtime, took on a nasty job, or made a big sale. This was a definite hit with the spouses who now had a definite indication of the appreciation the company had for the employee, and actually improved the employee's home life in some cases. Now, there's a big difference between placing blame and training. Most employees welcome training that will help them be better at their job. Companies spend millions each year to train people in everything from customer service to equipment operation. Assessing and placing blame is not training. When something goes wrong, stress happens. Management wants someone to be accountable for the problem. Now, finger pointing, accusations, and placing blame are often used as the most common methods to deal with a problem. The correct action should be to determine what the cause of the problem was and to design a training procedure to prevent its reoccurrence in the future by all employees. Now, I don't mean to imply that you never discipline an employee, but there's a time and a place and a right way to do it. Employee improvement and increasing efficiency should be the resulting outcome, not placing blame. If problems persist and it's determined that an employee is simply untrainable, that should be the point where disciplinary action and documentation of the employee's actions should begin. So tomorrow, before you leave for work, take a look in the mirror. Ask yourself this question: would you want to work for you? If you have a hard time with the answer, you have some work to do, and that's the podcast. If you missed any of my previous podcasts, you'll find them all on my YouTube channel, and while you're here, why not subscribe to my YouTube channel? And you'll also find a link to my podcast on my 400-page website that 3,000 people visit each day at smalltownmarketing.com. That's smalltownmarketing.com. So tune in each Saturday, and let's build some successful businesses together.